I get DMs every day asking me about something that somebody saw on social media. So I decided to start watching some of them and react to them. Today I'm going to be reacting to a viral 401k TikTok. Now a little sneak preview. Some of the things that she says is actually okay. Some of it is just flat out BS. And you'll want to make sure that you stay to the end because I point out a really big piece of what her agenda is. It's also one of the big reasons why I started FitBooks was to rat out BS like this, so that way you guys can get some real information. With that said, those of you that are new to the channel, my name is Joseph Franke, the founder of FitBooks. All we talk about on this channel is finances for young professionals, both from like a dollars and cents standpoint, so that way you can grow your wealth, but also from a mental standpoint also. And if you happen to be listening on the podcast, welcome there as well. Let's jump into it.
My baby brother just got his first job in corporate America making 6 figures, and he called me this morning to help him enroll in his retirement plan. Here are the questions I asked him before guiding him. The very first thing I want to know is, do they provide a match?
Holy cow, she started the whole react with a good question. Kudos to you. I'm actually shocked because a lot of stuff I see on TikToks where they blast 401ks and tell people not to do them, they don't even care about the match. And their reasoning is because, like, if you take it out early, there's penalties and blah, 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 blah. Well, actually, I'm going to show you why that's actually BS right now, so that way you know to go and get your match. So let's go in and jump in and look at some numbers. Let's say, for example, you make $60,000 and you have a 6% match. That means your contribution to your retirement is $3,600. Your company puts in $3,600. Now, let's just say you also have an effective tax bracket of 10%. That's what you're taxed on. And then if you take it out before 59.5, you are penalized by 10%. Under scenario A, let's just say we take your traditional TikToker's advice that says don't ever invest in a 401k, and you take that $3,600 instead and take it as income. You're going to pay $360 in taxes, which means you have $3,240 left over. Now, let's go scenario number 2. You take your contribution, you put it in your 401k, you get your company match, get the other $3,600, so you have $7,200 after 1 year. Let's just say you decide to take the money out. You pay the tax of $720 and you pay the penalty of $720. You still have $5,760 left over. Now, I'm not, claiming to be the smartest person in the world, but I believe that $5,760 is more than $3,240. Therefore, you should go get your match no matter what, because it's free money. Just because you have to pay a tax and a penalty doesn't mean you don't take it. And this is true regardless of what your income is, $60,000 or $200,000. Always get your match. Well, I shouldn't say always. There's actually two times that you might want to forego getting your match. The first is if your company doesn't match 100%. So for example, they might only match 25%. Then the benefits of the match are still there, just not as much. Typically, we kind of put this threshold down at FitBooks. Like when we see a member have like a 50% or higher match, we say go and get it. 25 or 50% or below, then we got to do some analytics to make sure that it actually makes sense. The second time it may not make sense is if you have a vesting schedule. Vesting typically is where you get the match, but you only get so much of it each year. So like if you have a 4-year vesting cycle and they match $1,000, you only get $250 after the first year, $250 after the second year, so on and so forth. So depending on the vesting schedule, it might not make sense to do it.
Why? Because if they're not giving him free money, we are not participating in any employer-sponsored retirement plan.
No, she started off so good. All right, before I comment, I want to hear the rest of her reasoning and why she's saying this.
Let me tell you why. Because why would you take your hard-earned dollar, put it into an account that you know nothing about and have no control over, that you don't know what the market's going to do? So is it going to make money? Is it going to lose? We don't really know. You can't touch it till you're 59.5. Oh, and by the way, when you do touch it, Uncle Sam will let you know how much you owe. Might be 20%, might be 30%, might be 50%. We'll let you know.
Where to even start on this? All right, first things first. She says that you can't control which investments it goes into. It's not entirely true. Every 401k and every retirement plan has a number of options for you. Now, they're limited options, but they have options. And for most people, especially those first starting off as young professionals, they're plenty enough. And next up, big red flag alarm. You can't control the market, is what she says. Why is that a massive red flag? She's preparing to tell you why 401ks are bad because she's going to tell you in like some type of investment that is good. So now my red flag goes up because I'm already waiting for her sales pitch. Then she goes on to say you can't take it out before 59 and a half. We've already touched on that with the math a few minutes ago. Yes, you can. The last one I hear all the time because it's what a certain industry teaches their sales reps to say, and that is about the taxes on a 401k when you retire. That it's going to be higher and all this type of stuff. You have no idea what tax rates and tax laws are going to be 20, 30, 40 years from now. Not just on 401ks, but on any product. So when you build out your financial plan, the best thing you can do is put it into place based on what you know today. We deal with this like with student loans all the time. You know XYZ today, a lot can change in the future, but you got to base it on today. Why? Because today is the best predictor of tomorrow. That's number one. Number two, there's always reasons to potentially put money in a 401k, especially if your company offers something like a Roth 401k. Okay, so for example, like you might have a Roth IRA, you max that out. You can then go put your money in a Roth 401k, and the contribution limits are a lot higher. So even if your company doesn't match, it may still be a great investment for you. But here's the thing, I told you guys earlier, red alarms. By this point in the TikTok, I have a really good gut feeling what she's already going to be pitching at the end because, like I said, I've been in this industry for a long time. I've seen sales rep be trained on this stuff, but I'm not going to spoil it yet. Let's continue on with the reacts, and then I'll touch on that at the end on the product that she's going to be selling.
Next question. Can you put that 6% in a Roth? Because a Roth is a little bit better because you don't pay taxes on the growth, but you still can't touch that money till you're 59 and a half.
Right when she starts to say something somewhat good, she snatches it right back. She's saying, only put money into your Roth 401k if there's a match. As I touched on earlier, you may be in a situation where you max out your Roth IRA and you want to put extra money in your Roth 401k. There's nothing wrong with that. So that's number one. Number two, the big thing that she just blew up. She says, you can't take it out. Yes, you can on a Roth 401k. Roth 401ks have similar rules as Roth IRAs, meaning this: the money that goes in is after taxes. You've already been taxed on it. So your contribution that you put in, you can take out anytime you want to without penalty. For example, if you put in $6,000 a year into your Roth 401k or your Roth IRA, and you do that for 10 years. So let's just say you put in $60,000, but the account's worth $300,000 at that time. You can take the $60,000 out anytime you want to without penalty. So that said, let's see the next piece of her advice.
So the final advice that I gave him was to put 6% to a Roth, nothing more, no increased contributions. We're going to leave it at that. That still won't be enough for retirement, so we're going to take the rest of his money that he wants to save and reroute it towards life insurance contracts. Let me tell you why.
Ding, ding, ding. There it is. Her big pitch. Put things in life insurance contracts. And lo and behold, what is she? She sells life insurance. But before I start trashing what she has to say there, let's see what actually she gives as a reason to do this.
Because life insurance contracts are the only place he can grow his money that tax exempt, Uncle Sam can't touch it, protected from the downs of the market if he chooses that strategy, and there's no 59 and a half rule. And he needs life insurance. He's going to buy a house, he's going to start a family, he's starting his life.
All right, so there's basically a ton of things wrong in there. Where do I even start? First things first, she says it's the only thing that is tax exempt. First of all, tax laws can change. Second of all, it's not tax exempt. Okay, the way you have to do withdrawals is done a very specific way, so that way you don't have to pay taxes on the withdrawals. But if you do them wrong or the policy lapses, you can get screwed. And I have seen this a number of times with people. She says there's no 59 and a half rule. She's right there. But life insurance contracts in the first like 10 to 20 years are stupid expensive. And so if you take the money out, what you put in versus what you get out is probably going to be very minimal, especially with the way most people set them up. We see people all the time. I literally just worked with a vet earlier today before recording this. She put her money into a policy like this about 5 years ago. She's been putting in close to $12,000 a year, so 60 grand. She decided this isn't worth it. She pulled this out because of penalties. She's getting like $24,000 back. That's worse than the 59 and a half. rule for 401ks and the 10% penalty. And by the way, I said I started FitBucks to because people like this. I used to be around people like this all the time that just used to push insurance. And God, God bless her. That's what she's trained on. That's what she knows. She probably really thinks that she's helping somebody, but she just doesn't know the other pieces of it. But here's the part that I see in the insurance industry also. Okay, if you put money in a 401k, she can't make any money off of you. If you put it in a Roth IRA, say you put in like $10,000 into a Roth IRA, she makes $100 a year. You put $10,000 into one of these policies she's talking about, right off the bat, first year, she's making about $5,000 to $8,000 off of you, and every year she's getting a 1% troll off of it. A lot more profitable. And then she goes on to state that her brother's young and is starting a family and all this stuff, and he needs insurance. Sure, he does. Term life insurance is cheap. And by the way, what she's talking about is a cash value policy. I'm not even against those because, like I always say, every financial product has a purpose, and if they're used correctly, they're fantastic. In fact, what she's talking about, I have one personally. My dad has one because I know exactly how to use them, and I happen to fit the exact situation that you would use one in, and so did my dad. But like 90% of people out there should never touch these things. The first reason why they shouldn't is because most people are not in the money situation to do it. And that doesn't necessarily mean they don't make enough money, they don't have enough money. They're just not in the right situation to do it. Number two, a lot of people have no clue how to even use them. Like I said, there's times to use them, but that's for another video on another day on life insurance. Maybe that's coming down the road, so make sure that you subscribe to the channel. Bottom line on your 401k, always get your match. She did say that. Good job. Put $50 minimum into a Roth IRA, and then from there, maybe you put more into your 401k, maybe you put more into your Roth. It just depends on your financial planning goals. With that being said, the next thing up on your to-do list is